I live in Leeds. I've got 2 children and 3 grandchildren. And one of the things that interests me about later life is the possibility for doing new things. When I was 63, I went to work in Ethiopia, working with a forum of organisations that were tackling HIV and AIDS to prevent transmission and also to mitigate the consequences, the impact. I'd worked in Africa when I was young and I'd always wanted to go back, but having children, not really a practical possibility. When my children were adult, I thought, well, now this is a chance for me to try again and do something that had always been in my heart. But I still wanted, whatever, to go back and work in Africa. And I had made a quick visit to West Africa, where I'd worked before, when I was 61, because I wanted to see whether or not I could still hack it. I was aware that being in Africa in your 20s is one thing, going in your 60s may be rather different. But I was really happy the time that I had back in Ghana and also in Liberia. And I knew that I would be all right wherever I was, really. And I also thought you can bear anything for a year, even if it's uncomfortable. So I went, and it was good. It was demanding, tested me in all sorts of ways, but it was a really, really good experience. And I learnt so much. And it reminded me of how much I learnt when I worked in Ghana in the 1960s, when I was a development worker for the young Christian students. And Ghana had such an impact on me, the people I worked with, the students I worked with, just opened my eyes to new ways of seeing things, and to new values, really, the value of hospitality. No matter how little people had, they shared it with you. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. And this very, very open kind of culture. So I learned, I suppose, to value new experiences and new things. And that has followed me, or I have followed that through my life, really. Nearly all the jobs I've had have been about developing new projects with local communities. One of the first that I did when I was back in the United Kingdom was setting up this Pimlico Neighbourhood AIDS Centre. But it was an idea that kind of developed from lots of local people saying what they thought needed doing in the local area. So it wasn't one person's idea, it was a kind of communal idea that got developed. And we got a short-term shop, a shop that was going to be demolished, and we turned it into this shop front with, we furnished it with stuff that people were throwing out. And we got some money from somewhere to employ 2 part-time workers, both local women. And we got started, and it was amazing because people came in with all sorts of ideas about what they wanted to do. So we had a second-hand furniture store, we had advice about welfare benefits and all the other kind of things, legal advice. We got local solicitors to come in and do stuff. We used to get into trouble because clearly we were quite challenging, shall we say, of the way the world was organised. And one of the things that happened was that we were required by the council to sign an undertaking. I think it was to move out when required to. But John, who was a Scotsman in his late 70s, said, I will sign this undertaking because if they are going to come after anybody, better that they come after me, because, you know, I'm single, I don't have any assets to lose, and this will save the rest of you from being under any kind of threat. So this really kind of made me think about the freedom that we can have in later life to do things, and perhaps to take risks that we can't take when we've got children and partners and so on. So there were a lot of old people involved there who really opened my eyes to some of the possibilities for later life. The most exciting new thing I'm doing at the moment is moving into a co-housing development in Leeds, which is very diverse, intergenerational, multicultural, multi-religious, all sorts of people, young people, old people, children. And co-housing is the kind of formation of intentional communities where people agree to live together, and it's a cooperative. You agree to live by certain values and certain rules which we develop together and we all agree on, but you agree that you will try to live in a way that takes account of the other people that you live with. So you have a sort of duty of care to your neighbours, and also the joy of being with younger people, the inspiration that younger people are doing new things. And Chapeltown co-housing, which is what I'm moving into, is very different from most co-housing developments because of its diversity. We're trying to keep the rents down so that they are truly affordable for families and people who are on low incomes. We have a common house with a laundry. We'll have a carpool, so we'll share cars. We'll have a common garden where we'll grow food, which we can share. We'll cook meals some of the time in the common house, which will be shared meals for everybody or anybody who lives there to come to, and their guests. And it's a more sustainable way of living than living on one's own. So it's a very exciting move, but a bit daunting as well, because as well as receiving from the community, one will also be expected to contribute. And well, we'll see. But I think it is really exciting, and very much looking forward to being there after what's been a very long haul. It's always possible to do new things, and I sort of wake up each day. I don't think about it first thing, but when I've come round a bit, I think, oh, it's a new day, always new possibilities, new opportunities, new things to be grateful for. And I think if we can sort of cultivate that sense of thankfulness and of recognising new things, it helps to keep us young and happy. I was thinking earlier about a passage from Isaiah about, see, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. And I suppose God is always doing that for us. So we just need to recognise it.